This is going to be a little bit of a different video to what I kind of usually make on this channel. I know it's always kind of uplifting, and not to say this video isn't, but I want to kind of do something that nobody else has really done before. A lot of these gurus and kind of course sellers, not to kind of draw shade or, make blood with anyone, but a lot of them made a lot of their money from selling courses. So I kind of wanted to be, a little bit of an outlier, a little bit different here, and kind of give my honest thoughts and how I go about life and, doing what I've done, and kind of how being obsessed has made me millions of dollars at 20 years old. Now, ever since I was younger, I've known I kind of wanted to do, content creation full time, and not necessarily content creation, but kind of being an entrepreneur. The school system, stuff like that was never really my strong suit. I always kind of failed at school, if I'm being completely honest. And of course, you always had those friends and those people that would kind of put you down and say that it's not realistic to do, online work, whatever you might be doing, even if you're not doing something online, even if it's just starting your own business, doing anything and kind of breaking out of that traditional school system. Obviously, the school system is completely outdated. I mean, what was it? The Rockefeller dude was like, I don't want a nation of, a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. And I think ever since I was super young, that's always really resonated with me. And of course, I've gone on to make millions of dollars on content creation. And now this is not to flex at all. I know that a lot of these gurus, majority of them didn't make majority of their money on, content creation. It was a lot of money made from course selling. So what I'm going to do, and this is not something I've ever done before, and I really wouldn't usually do this. I'm obviously going to blur out some of the main things, but here's my bank account. This is obviously CommBank. It's an Australian bank. I can obviously go ahead and refresh the page as many times as I have to. Good morning, Blake. This is one of my bank accounts that we run, obviously $1.1 million. And you guys can kind of see, obviously I'm going to blur out all the transactions, but you can sort of see how often we get paid, right? So the 3rd of November, $148,000. We go a little bit down, $36,000, a little bit down, $22,000. And this is every single few days. Now, I'm not showing you this to necessarily flex. I'm kind of showing it so you can kind of know that what I'm talking about and the advice and kind of standpoint I'm giving you right now is from a standpoint of somebody who's done this. And I've grown up doing this. I've been doing content creation and kind of the online entrepreneurial space since I was like 11 years old. I mean, I started originally with Minecraft servers. As funny as it might sound, that was kind of where my entrepreneurial journey sort of started. And then obviously I went onto Snapchat, onto YouTube automation, and obviously I'm still doing a ridiculous amount of money with Snapchat. But I kind of want to give you my thoughts on when people in your everyday life hate on what you do. Don't take that to heart. What they're saying is because they're jealous and they've obviously been indoctrinated into a system that makes them believe that this isn't feasible to do. I'm telling you from somebody who's done it firsthand that it is, and it is the most fucking enjoyable feeling in the world. If you watched my video like a year ago when I was kind of in a different place to where I am now, I am a lot more happy in the sense of, how much money I'm making, and it's, kind of enjoyable now. But I did have this little bit of a time period where I was making an astronomical amount of money. I mean, I was doing like $400,000 in profit a month. Net profit. I know a lot of these people will show you $1 million a month. This Snapchat show made me $500,000 this month. And of course they get like 10%. I was making 400 grand net profit a month. I'll show you now in a minute. But one of the things that really resonated with me is that it's not necessarily the money, it's how you make the money. So I was making, close to $500,000 net profit a month with Snapchat shows. Some of you guys might be familiar with that. And obviously YouTube was doing me about 100K. And then altogether it was, leaning on that 400K a month mark. But the thing about it is it doesn't necessarily matter, how much money you're making. It matters how you're making it. I know so many people that do different industries to me, OFM, that disgusting devil stuff. People that make money there, like let's say they're doing $1 million a month. They would give up that mil to make 50K in a real product or a real industry. That is the devil's work. That kind of industry is the devil's work. And the way you make your money is so, so important. I mean, I don't get dopamine anymore from making, $5,000, $100,000 from something like Snapchat. But for example, which is kind of where I found my passion, is of course SaaS products. So of course, people like Daniel Baton, they built up Crayo.ai, building up these kind of softwares that provide value and intrinsic value to your community members, and then selling that as kind of a software as a service and building something past just content creation. That's always been something that's really resonated with me. And of course, that is what brings me enjoyment and fulfillment. So I think one of the biggest things is, and I said this in my last video, and this is very, very real, enjoy the time you have where making money feels fun. That is the number one word of advice I could give to you guys. Now, if any of you are watching this video, the chances are you're gonna make it regardless. You're gonna succeed. If you're on this kind of side of YouTube, it means you have that entrepreneurial spirit. And one thing I can say is that it doesn't matter how many times you fail, because eventually something will click. Doesn't matter what it is. If you have that fire inside of you and you're committing, failure isn't possible if you're consistently innovating and trying different things. Now, again, this is not financial advice. I'm not saying copy my videos, do YouTube automation. It doesn't matter what you do. You could be doing Snapchat. You could be doing e-commerce. You could be doing drop shipping. If you have that entrepreneurial spirit, something will find you. And I think that was my biggest thing. I had very tough times where I was, of course, during COVID, 2020 to like 2021, I was kind of at home all day. I kind of dropped out of school, which I did drop out of school. But for the first couple months and even close to a year, I was doing nothing. I had spent so much money trying to do Minecraft servers. I had spent so much money trying to do other ventures and nothing really hit. But one thing I can say is when you do find that thing that does click, nothing will compare to the dopamine you get every single morning. I mean, I would wake up so effing excited to hop in a Discord call with my community, which not necessarily like the top 1% or the community I built on YouTube, but my friend group at the time. So my friend group at that time was like Daniel Baton, all these massive people that are now huge, right? I don't even want to get into their names, but it was a big group of us, and some of them make multi-millions a month now. And we'd wake up, we'd hop into Discord call, and we'd just be grinding. And that is where the fun in being an entrepreneur really comes out. Now, I had this time, I'm not going to lie, I had a little bit of a year buffer, or 1 to 2 years, where all the enjoyment from being an entrepreneur had just left me. And one thing I'll say to you guys is never sacrifice the money, the dopamine you enjoy. What I mean by that is if something came around today that could make me $1 million a month on autopilot, I don't think I would take it, because you don't get any enjoyment from something you haven't built up yourself. Now, I say that, I know it sounds stupid, like, okay, you wouldn't take $1 million a month. I mean, I would. But it's one of those things where you're not going to get enjoyment from it. What you want in life, and ultimately the most important thing, is that you go to sleep. And I'm not sure if any of you guys are fellow entrepreneurs and you've kind of done this before and you've been in the same boat as me. Have you ever gone to sleep and like on Christmas, and it's hard to fall asleep because Christmas is the next day? It's sort of like that, but with making money. So I used to, and nowadays I am as well. I've finally got that fire back inside of me, and it's thanks to SaaS, which is obviously software as a service, and kind of the programs I'm building up. Obviously for you guys, it's coming out soon, Produce.so. But one thing I've kind of noticed is I used to go to bed and I would be so fucking excited to wake up tomorrow and see my phone. Like I couldn't sleep. And this is probably too niche for anyone to understand, but I used to have like these dreams where I would wake up and like see the results, but like I wasn't actually awake yet and I didn't know if I was dreaming or not. And then eventually I'd wake up and I'd be like, oh, thank God, like my video didn't flop, or I didn't get no sales. I did get sales. And I know it sounds stupid, but being obsessed with something you enjoy is always going to rival anybody that already has the foundation set up. If you genuinely want to do money online and you consistently grind and you're always grinding, chances are it will eventually hit. And I think that one of the biggest things is kind of enjoying these sort of downtimes where you're not succeeding and nothing's working, because it's going to make, when you do inevitably succeed, it's going to make it feel that much better. Like, for example, what I'm going to actually do is show you some of my Snapchat shows right now and walk you through the times I had in the beginning versus now. All right, guys, so here we are. Now, this is obviously our Snapchat portal, and I'm of course going to blur out the names right here, and obviously all the episode names. But here is an example of how quickly things can kind of shift and change in this kind of industry, right? So this show still makes me $50,000 a month. And FYI, I'm, of course, as I say, going to blur all this, but we have about 60 of these, right? Now, no, not all of them make me as much as this is making me. And to be entirely transparent with you, this is not all profit. Snapchat takes 70% of this, and then I'm left with half of whatever is left. So from this, I only make 15%. But once again, we have 60 of these. So the revenue starts to add up. But I want to give you an example of how quickly things can kind of change in this industry, and why, if you are obsessive, if you have that fire, and if you really strive and grind for something, you will eventually make it happen. Now, here we go. I can filter by the last 3 months, and you guys can see $158,000 in revenue every single day is like a couple thousand, right? And this isn't our biggest show. We have shows that do 4 times this revenue. But here is my point. Let's go ahead and filter it by June, July, April. And when you go ahead and see this, you will see how dead this show was. Yes, it was still making $100 a day. But once again, remember the splits. It's not that much. It was like $30 a day. But of course, when you hyperfixate and you double down and you focus on a specific thing, right? Look how dead this was, $100 a day. All of a sudden, May 5th of this year, which is actually when I stopped posting on this channel, and there was good reason for that, Snapchat just absolutely fucking took off. So I had to put my family first. I had to put kind of everything I was working on hold to really double down on that. But as you can see, it took off on the 4th, and immediately, first couple days, $5,000 a day. Since then, has not dropped down. It has just been consistent. And this is what I mean, where consistency beats anything else. If we continue going back, right, even, let's just go from April to February, it was still completely dead for about a year. So things can take a while, right? Like, yeah, we were still doing 19K, so like 7K a month, but it was nowhere near as profitable as it obviously is now. And that once again funnels into what I'm saying about being hyper obsessive, not caring what other people think. When I was younger, I'm not going to lie, guys, I got bullied at school. Very much so. I mean, I was a nerd. I mean, I'd be looking at my YouTube dashboard. I'd be looking at YouTube Studio while I was in class. I'd be comparing niches. I actually, funnily enough, and this is probably getting too personal, but I remember I switched schools quite a bit, and I ended up leaving one of my specific schools because these kids in my grade found my YouTube channel. It was called Broccoli MC. It was a fucking Minecraft channel at the time where I would record on Minecraft servers. And it wasn't making anything crazy, maybe a couple $100 a month at the time, but I was like 11 years old, so it was quite good for me. But these kids found it, and they would consistently, like, I'd be in class and they'd be like, "Hey, Broccoli." I'd be like, "Man, are you serious?" So that was actually a reason why I left a school. But of course, if I took what these kids said to heart and I didn't double down and focus on my entrepreneurial spirit, which is obviously what school tries to do, it tries to knock you down. It tries to keep you in the loop where you're consistently working, going to university, working a 9 to 5. If I had stuck with that, I never would have got to where I am at this point today. And funnily enough, guys, that channel at the time, which is actually on my screen right now, that channel ended up getting 300,000 subscribers. And it was one of my most successful channels, not in terms of revenue, because obviously it's completely dead. But one thing, if you're familiar with me at all, I used to run a lot of affiliate-based channels. So these Minecraft servers, back when I was pulling like 10K views a video, they would be paying me like $1,000 per video to upload on their server. And of course, if we filter by popular, 3-4 years ago, that was a lot of money for me. I mean, I was posting every day for like a year. And this channel ended up making me a couple $100,000. And this is the same channel that people were talking shit about. And yes, I do still own it. I still have access to it. I don't run it anymore. I have one of my friends that I just gave it to. He still posts every couple of days, funnily enough. But I gave it to him. I said, "Look, here you go. I've known this guy for many, many years. And this is one of those things where when you have those people that you're close with and, you love them, they've always been there for you. They've been with you from the start. Help them out." I mean, the money I could make from that channel was nothing comparative to that friendship I built along the way with that guy. So I said, "Look, have it. Here you go." And now he makes a couple $1,000s a week from that channel. So it's still really good. But my biggest thing is enjoy the time you have when making money is fun. Don't always be chasing the next big thing. Find something that has proof of concept, whether it's YouTube automation. If you want to make that happen, YouTube automation works. People are making money with it, and that it is a real thing. So if you find something that brings you genuine enjoyment, whether it's SaaS, whether it's Snapchat, whether it's even info products. I mean, I see a lot of people hating on course sellers. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate course sellers. I have a one-on-one mentorship myself, which is start.innovault.co. This is my one-on-one mentorship where I work directly with clients and scale them. I don't hate course sellers at all. I hate course sellers that are selling something that isn't realistic. It's one of those things where it doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you enjoy it. And if getting a program and buying a mentorship is the way to go about getting information in a niche that you really, really enjoy and you want to do it, there's nothing wrong with that. But stick to something. Don't consistently drift away. And that was one of my biggest issues. But if you find something, once again, with proof of concept and it works, sticking to it will inevitably work so long as you consistently keep going and chase that dopamine. That is probably the best advice I could give you. And I know this probably was a bit different from one of my usual uploads. I know I'm not as energetic. Sorry, I just woke up. It's 10 a.m. But one thing I just want to leave you guys with is do what you enjoy. Don't let the gold carry you away. What I mean by that is chasing the gold. I used to get this when I was super, super young, where you'd always be chasing the next big thing. So you'd log in on YouTube automation, for example. Then you'd go on Twitter and you'd see someone talking about how they made a mill with ecom. And then you'd immediately think, okay, I'm going to go do ecom. And that's what I mean by chasing the gold. You're consistently moving from thing to thing and never sticking with one particular niche or industry. And that was probably my biggest issue. If I could do this differently going forward, I would have stuck to what I knew I was good at. I knew I had passion for. And of course, that's SaaS for me now, right? And really quickly, guys, if you want to join my public Discord server where we kind of compare results, and it's just a really cool networking environment, it's discord.gg/1%. We do daily calls in there where I kind of talk to you guys. Yeah, I mean, this was kind of a one-on-one video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe and let me know if this is the type of content you guys want to see going forward on this channel, because again, I love this style of content. It's entirely raw and it's entirely transparent. So I love you guys. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all when we go back to making normal videos, which is probably tomorrow, but have a great day. Thank you all. Stay safe.